What finally emerged from the evil rift was a creature born of nightmares. Its skin was not of flesh, but of darkest, sculpted obsidian, a sleek, formidable hide that absorbed the light, yet somehow seemed to glow from within, with a subtle, menacing violet current. This indomitable surface was punctuated by glowing crimson faults that pulsed with unrestrained, infernal energy, hinting at the immense power contained within. A long, sinuous tail, tipped with a razor-sharp spade, glinted with a palpable, malevolent intent. Its horns were truly otherworldly, massive, spiraling structures of polished black, etched with vibrant, glowing purple veins that seemed to thrum with arcane power. Their glossy surfaces reflected a terrifying depth that threatened to swallow my very being. The creature's eyes were twin, abyssal voids piercing crimson slits that burned with an infernal light that seemed to bore into my soul with an oppressive, crushing weight that made my bones ache. It had sharp, angular contours that defined its powerful head and jaw, hinting at a predatory intelligence. The devil's emergence was an unending assault on the world itself. With each deliberate, measured step, the earth beneath his feet didn't merely crack or crumble, it twisted in agony, the soil heating, fusing, and cooling, in an instant to form jagged patches of black, obsidian-like glass that pulsed with unnatural heat, a lasting scar of utter barrenness. Every breath he drew acted like a thief, sucking the life from the air and exhaling a thick, visible haze that choked the surroundings, draining the colors until everything nearby faded into a cold, lifeless gray. In a 10-foot circle around him, the once vibrant grass trembled and seized up, withering before your eyes in a frantic rush of decay, its essence unraveling in a merciless spiral. At last, the devil inhaled deeply, savoring the tainted air with a sneer of contempt. Trailing behind this demonic entity, bound by a heavy chain attached to a collar around her neck, was a humanoid figure, barefoot and visibly gaunt. She bore the stark, unmistakable marks of extreme malnourishment. When the creature spoke, its voice was a smoldering growl, chillingly reminiscent of embers crackling in a hearth carved from ancient, accursed stone. Each word rumbled through the very earth beneath me, sounding primordial and resonantly deep, and seemed to be dripping with a seductive, profound hunger.
Look around, my pet. They call this the fallen world, but their ruin is dreadfully incomplete. I can feel the pathetic residue of hope clinging to the air like dust, and the sickly sweet echo of joy still rings in the silence. It's an insult to the art of true damnation.
Its crimson eyes, burning with ancient malice, swept over the landscape.
I can sense the raw chaos mana, untamed, primal, ripe, and waiting to be plucked and devoured.
It murmured.
But more importantly,
It added, tugging sharply on the chain, so the gaunt figure stumbled forward, emitting a muffled whimper.
fear hasn't even dared to whisper its name in this place yet.
Its lips curled into a predatory smile, satisfied with its discovery, and the expression revealed its gleaming fangs that caught the faint light like polished daggers. The smile was both charismatic and sinister, It was framed by its obsidian horns, veined with crimson, spiraling with an elegance that felt like a mockery of beauty. Thick black smoke poured from the creature, mingling with the rain and obscuring its form. But its presence was a suffocating weight, reducing me to an insignificant speck. It reached into a tattered bag that looked to be made of skin that slung across its back, withdrawing a strange, pulsating device. With deliberate steps, it placed the device beneath the other rifts. Instantly, the heavenly and dream rifts began to wail. Their grinding and whining noises intensifying until they collapsed in on themselves, vanishing with a final, tortured shriek. Only the evil rift remained, growing slowly, inch by inch, with a wet, fleshy, tearing sound that turned my stomach like skin being ripped from bone. Then, the sounds that were so horrifying and present suddenly were cut off, as if they never existed. The air grew too still, a suffocating silence, broken only by the steady breaths of the devil, the sole entity within miles that had the courage to draw air. No other sound or flicker of movement dared to pierce the domain of this creature. I stayed crouched in the bushes, frozen, watching as the creature stepped back through the rift, its form swallowed by the roiling black and red. I let out a breath I only just noticed I had been holding. Moments later, a rustle in the woods snapped me out of my trance. Soot and ash now choked the air, mingling with the fog, and I made the mistake of breathing deeply to try and calm myself. My lungs burned, and a violent cough tore through me, loud enough to betray my position. A bone-chilling howl, followed by a piercing, high-pitched trill, erupted from the direction of the rustling in the woods. With this, I broke the silence that seemed so loud a moment before. Panic almost seized me. However, I knew if I didn't make a break for it, I may not get another chance. "Kaiser, home!" I screamed. I ran, my footsteps muffled but frantic, fleeing back the way we came through the suffocating darkness. I ran for miles, until finally I stumbled through my front door, heart still racing. The night's horrors clinging to me like damp rot. And then my body gave out. And before I could process it, I was jolted awake by a pounding at the door. Kaiser's frantic barks echoed my own frayed nerves. It was Ali, my sister, who'd moved in next door after her marriage went up in flames. I silenced Kaiser. I looked over and only had one sock on my left foot. I opened the door. Ali's eyes narrowed, and her judgmental gaze told me exactly how my morning was going to begin.